Helsinki, and the 10th World Congress of the Deaf, where signers from many different countries spent a week discussing and debating issues of language and culture. But it wasn't all work.
I'm often asked if sign language is international. Well, in fact, it's not. Each country has its own sign language, and every country has its own sign vocabulary. Here's Clive with a few examples. First, man.
British, American, French, Japanese.
Now, woman.
British, American, French, Japanese.
But signers from different countries are able to communicate with each other better than their hearing counterparts could. This is partly because in every sign language, some signs form a picture of what they represent, but more importantly, because the way that signs are used, the grammar of sign language, is pretty similar in many countries. Today, we'll be looking at an important part of the grammar. It's called placement, the way we describe where things and people are in relation to each other. But first, let's see how well English copes with these descriptions. Here's Professor Harlan Lane of Northeastern University, Boston, giving one or two examples.
Well, let's see then how good oral language really is in this fundamental task of spatial description. How well does English convey arrangements and distances of people and things in this three-dimensional space that we occupy? I look at two adjacent people in the audience, say Dennis and his wife. In English, I might say, Dennis is to the left of his wife. But in that case, I can also say he's on his wife's right. That is, Dennis is to the right of his wife. Which is it? Is Dennis to the left of his wife, or is he to the right of his wife? Anna, who's seated behind them, disagrees with me. Dennis was never to the left of his wife. Did you follow that? If you did, and you think English is clear, just complicated, about left and right, try this one. Let's go on a picnic. My friend, I tell you, there's a spider dangling above your head. You go to brush it away, but where do you swing? Is it close to you or far? Is it near your cheek or near the top of your head? Who knows?
Well, it seems the spoken word isn't very clear when it comes to describing where things are in relation to each other. Everyday words like these are really not very precise. For example, if you were asked to put a chair next to a table, where would you actually put it?
Here, or here, or here, or here, or even here.
But it's much clearer in BSL using the rule of placement. First you show the table, then place the chair exactly where you want it.
There's a round table here and a chair here facing forwards.
BSL uses placement a lot, and it's an important part of the language. Let's see a simple example of how it works. Here's a table on which there's a cup, a book, and a telephone. Now Clive's going to sign a description of the table and the objects on it.
Table, cup, book, telephone.
So this is how you would describe the placement of things if you're signing to other people. Now let's look at the same thing from a different angle. Clive placed the objects as he saw them when he was looking at the table. The telephone was on his right, the book in the centre, and the cup on the left, and that's how he signed them. But when he turned round, you may have thought he'd reversed the order of the objects, but in fact he hadn't. They were still in the same order from his point of view. This is an important point in BSL. When someone describes a scene to you, you must try to picture it from the signer's point of view. It's easy when you get the hang of it. Here it is, one last time. You'll see that as Clive signs the placement of the objects, he's not only using his hands and arms, he's using his head and eyes as well. Watch closely. Now, Clive's going to describe a different arrangement using the same objects. See if you can follow him. And here's how it looks now. Now we've put the same 3 objects on different levels on a set of shelves. Clive will sign this for you, but remember, he'll be signing where the items are from his point of view. Now, here's Wendy Daunt describing her old school and how the area around it has changed. Last year, I went to the school to look around, but I was disappointed to see all the changes. Before, the school building was here, with fields all around it, and over here the sports area for cricket, netball and so forth. Well, now houses are being built, popping up all over the place, and the grounds are getting smaller and smaller. You can do the same thing to show where people are. Clive will describe meeting 2 people in the street. Concentrate on the way in which Clive places the people.
It was quite a small street. I was walking along one side, and there were 2 people walking towards me, one on each side of the street. The one on my side was a man, the other was a woman. She crossed over, and they both came up to me.
Once you've given something or someone a place in the signing space, you can refer to them again just by looking at or pointing to their position. This is why placement is so important. If you haven't got your mental picture of the scene the right way round, you can get hopelessly confused as the conversation continues. Now that Clive has given the 2 people he met positions in the signing space, he can tell us that one of them was wearing glasses. It's a bit cold today, isn't it?
Really bad.
You'll find that placement is used a lot when someone is describing a scene. For example, a room and the objects in it.
Scrooge is in a chair asleep, wearing a nightcap which is hanging down the side of his head. To his right, there's a table with a candle and a book on it, and a decanter of wine and a glass. Opposite him, there's another seat. To the left of that, there's a table with a candle. There's a fireplace on Scrooge's left, a clock in the centre of the mantelpiece, and a row of books beside it on the right. There's a picture on the wall above the mantelpiece, and 2 candles on the wall. To the right of the fireplace, there are curtains, and behind Scrooge, there's another set of curtains.
Here's Clive with a more complicated example of placement involving people.
Her mother was at the sink washing up when she heard the loud noise of crying, so she turned to see what was going on. "He's hitting me," said the first child. "I never did. He's a liar," said the other one. "Both of you stop it," said the mother.